because so often when we talk about Lent, we associate it with suffering. And as we spoke last week, Lent is not about suffering, but just the opposite. It's really about opening to a more joyous, abundant living. And to do that, we have to expand our consciousness, where it's always been, to embrace the truth of our divine nature. And that takes a little work on our part, doesn't it? Because we're programmed to thinking of ourselves as this physical being, this little dot inside the circle that is our entire being. And there's a story and a joke that shows how Jesus knew this. Here it goes. Maybe you've heard it. Jesus and his 12 apostles walk into a bar. And Jesus says to the bartenders, "Give me 12 waters." And then he turns to the apostles and winks. You'll get that at 3 in the morning, you'll get that, all right? Jesus knew how to turn water into wine, whether you believe that as a physical, actual, literal reality or a symbolic reality. He knew his oneness with God. He knew the power was in him. And that's why when he came to us, he said, "I have come that you might have life and have it more abundantly." And in another place he said, "That my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete." Full. Wow, wow. And we've forgotten how to live abundantly. Not only do we have a problem turning water into wine, but we can't always cope with our daily living. Can you relate to that? I had a friend call me, she calls me a lot, from up north. And she lives in a state that's very generous, and they have a large population of Somalian refugees. And for a while, it wasn't working. For a while, everybody was projecting on everyone their anger and their separation issues. And it had gotten to a point that it was scaring her. And she calls me up, and she says she wants answers. And she said, "And I want real answers, not those spiritual answers. I don't want to hear those spiritual platitudes. I want answers. What's going to solve? Like I'm supposed to know how to solve a refugee problem, all right? Like I'm supposed to know how to do that." She was asking me to fix something that can only be fixed on a spiritual level. The only way it'll be fixed, seeing union and oneness and not seeing other as others. That's the only way. And after I listened to her for a while, I realized what was really going on is her own fears had been triggered. This situation had triggered her into her own fear and separation issues. And she became afraid and angry and confused. And we had to work on healing her. Yes, spiritually, not with real answers. Her joy was no longer full. She could not experience joy anymore. So ultimately, all healing, no matter what your healing is, has to happen on a spiritual level. We have to heal the split mind into going from separation thinking to oneness, to unity. And that's why every Sunday we join other unity churches around the world in saying, let's say it again together, there is only one presence, one power in the universe, in this church, and in my life. God the good, omnipotent. And really, if you get that one, you can go home, we're done. No, but if you're like me, I'm pretty intellectual sometimes. I intellectually understood that. But I'm still working on every aspect of my life, feeling and really knowing that. Because we get distracted by this out there and start slipping into our separate mind, which slips right over into separation thinking again. We are one with source and substance, one with wisdom and guidance, one with strength and peace, and every other belief blocks that abundant living in our life because it takes us into a different experience. Now, another thing Jesus said when he came was the truth will set you free. Know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And I've often shared up in Unity Village, and the first thing I had to learn was, yes, the truth will set you free, but first it pisses you off, okay? I think most of you can relate to that, especially when, like my friend, it starts showing up in our life through our issues. And often those issues are around issues of abundance and prosperity. And one thing that really makes people mad, you want me to make you mad for a minute? I know I can do that anyway, but this is a good one. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, once said something that was so outrageous, it makes people furious. He said, it's a sin to be poor. How could he say that? We don't even believe in sin in the traditional sense. What did he mean by that? Well, let's back up a minute. We know that sin is simply an archery term. It means missing the bullseye, missing the mark. And haven't we all done that? We are poor in perception when we miss the mark of the truth of our being. One with source and substance. That's why we can't turn water into wine. And I believe we've all had lifetimes of poverty and lifetimes of having abundance because we're here in this physicality to learn these principles, to release all judgment on others, and to learn our real source and substance and what our relationship is with it. And Jesus told two stories that really go with this. One was the story of the hidden treasure that we all have to go find. It's a treasure hunt. And the other is the story of the pearl of great price. That once we search and search, and once we find it, we want to sell everything just to buy that pearl of great price. So what do those mean? What is that hidden treasure? What is that pearl of great price? Well, it's our awakening to our divinity, the truth of our being, that we are one with source and substance. We're not just the dot in the center. We're the whole circle. We're the whole divine, one with everything, one with all life, one with each other. There's a reason why things show up in our life as poverty, as lack, as limitation in different areas of your life. When I talk about abundant living, I'm talking about abundant living in every area of your life. Health, wealth, relationships, careers, creativity, everywhere. And what happens is it gets filtered. This idea of our oneness with source and substance filters through our mind. And our mind is a split line. That's why Jesus said, you cannot serve two masters. You can't serve those two masters of the split mind. You either believe in union with your source or in separation. There's no middle ground. And so those spiritual beliefs get filtered through our fear and separation issues. Those spiritual issues get filtered through guilt and judgment, self-loathing, and how we perceive each other. No wonder our divine nature is so hidden, and we have to search for it. But Jesus said, I have come that you might have life and have it more abundantly, that your joy may be full. What did he mean? And he wasn't just talking about materialism or money. He was talking about fully embracing every aspect of your life. Now, every one of us has our issues showing up in different areas. My area that my issues show up on my whole life has been my physical body. I've had health challenges throughout much of my life. And so the creative process, which gets filtered down through the spirit, through the mental, through the feeling nature, into the physicality, it shows up somewhere in your physicality, and mine shows up in my body. You see, it starts with our spiritual beliefs, our beliefs and perceptions about God, about who we are, about our relationship with the higher aspect of our being, that we're the circle, not the dot, one with source and substance, or we believe in separation. Whatever those beliefs are, gets filtered down. Now, the real trickle-down effect is that those spiritual beliefs go into our mental nature, and that split mind, and it either trickles through our union and our wholeness and divine ideas, or it filters through separation thinking of lack and limitation and what we see as being out there. And then it has to trickle through our feeling nature, our emotional responses to what we believe, to what's happening, which is either fear and anger or peace and love, depending on what we're feeling, because the emotions depend on the thoughts depend on our belief system. Do you see how now it's trickling all the way down into the physicality, into your life? Whether it's your physical body, like mine seems to show up in, or your prosperity, or your career, or your creativity. Everyone here has a different area that seems to be where yours shows up. And whatever it has to spill through, the mind, the feeling nature, whatever it has to trickle down through is how it shows up, either joyous and abundant or issues. And mine, I have said, shows up as health issues. When Michael and I came together, we really believe we came together to heal our heart issues, because we've both had issues of the heart. And our love for each other has healed those issues in us. We both had heart surgery after we got married. So we know we've been brought together to heal that. Now, many of you have heard this, that 7 years ago I had a heart valve put in, and everything's going fine. I found my doctor here in Cookeville, which have a wonderful heart program here in Cookeville, and I've been told that once again I need to have that heart valve replaced. It's not working anymore. And so I'm going to be going in this Wednesday to have that replaced. Now, here's what you have to do. I refer you to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe, rule number 1. Rule number 1 of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe, don't panic. Rule number 1, okay? I'm very fortunate that valves now, they don't open you up. They don't do it surgically. They just go in through your arteries and put it right in. Now mine has to go into an already valve there that's not working. Makes it a little different, but they don't do open heart surgery anymore. So that's the good news. And all my pre-op exams have been excellent and healthy. I'm strong. They're very confident. And I have 2 of the best doctors here in Cookeville, which has one of the best heart specialists in the nation. So I'm very blessed. As I said, I'm going in Wednesday, and if all goes well, I'll be out in a few days. Sean O'Shea is speaking next Sunday to cover for me, and I hope to be at the annual meeting. If I'm not strong enough yet, Brandon has said he would fill in for me, and he's promised to look a little shorter so that you will recognize me and him. So here's what I want you to do for me as all that information trickles down. When you think of me this week, especially Wednesday morning, don't think of the problem. Affirm my union, affirm my oneness with the divine, and affirm that divine wisdom is moving in and through the medical team. They're doing it through divine wisdom, not their egos, but through divine wisdom. And know that I have had a life of miracles. My sisters insist that I'm like a cat with 9 lives, and I don't know which number I'm on by now, but I've gone through a number of them, and I'm sure I'll go through a number more. Mary Ann Williamson describes a miracle as a shift in perception, a shift in how we look at things, from fear to love, from a belief in what is not real to a belief in what is real, and to a faith in that which is. And that little shift in perception changes everything. And then the 4th thing to do is to trust the flow, that everything is unfolding exactly as it should for both me and the church. Now, you've heard me say before, I always allow myself a 5-minute whine to get all that energy out before I affirm the truth. So when I found out a few weeks ago that I might have to have this done, I didn't just allow myself 5 minutes, I allowed myself 24 hours of feeling sorry for myself and poor meing it and showing Michael where all our important papers are so that if I get the dust, he'll know where everything. I gave myself 24 hours. And then when it ran its course, I shifted. I surrendered into acceptance, into peace. And I remembered the story and the song of the balm of Gilead. Remember that old song? There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There's power enough in heaven to heal a heart-sick soul. Now Now, the original version didn't say heart sick. It said sin sick, and I don't like that, although sin only means missing the mark of perfection. And you've known me long enough to know I'm not perfect. You know that already, so there's power enough in heaven to heal that heart-sick soul. And Leonard Cohen says it the best. He once wrote, "Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in." So there's enough cracks in this body to let all kinds of light in. The balm of Gilead was an Old Testament story back in the time of Jeremiah. And it was a sad time. They lost their hope. They were being held in captivity again. They were at an all-time low and they lost their joy. And in different versions, they speak of their feelings in different ways. They felt separate from God. They felt abandoned by God. They said, "Terror grips me. My joy is gone. Grief is upon me. My heart is sick." Again, that heart sickness. And then someone cried out, "Is there no balm in Gilead anymore?" Now, balm is an aromatic medicinal substance, and it has healing and soothing powers. And Gilead was known as a city that was known for its spices and its healing balms. And it was a very rich country, high in the mountains. Now, metaphysically, you know what we do with that. Metaphysically, it's when we go to a high state of mind, a high state of mind that is rich and overflowing with abundant living, because we know our oneness with God. If you know any realtors, you know there's one here, Claudia. Don't you say to people, location, 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 right? So it's the same in our metaphysical life. Where is our consciousness? Location, location, location. Do we build our life down in the valleys? Or do we build it in the high mountain of high metaphysical thinking, of our union with God, our oneness with all that is? And then that belief trickles down spiritually. I'm a circle, not a dot. Mentally be transformed by the renewal of your mind. We change our thinking. And then emotionally or feeling nature. We have 40 days of Lent to release those feelings. Have your 5-minute wines and then release the fear and separation. So it can all trickle down into the physicality wherever it shows up in your life, to the expanded truth of your being. Now, me this week, I'm saying A Course in Miracle affirmation. I'll say it for you first, and then I'd invite you to join me. I'm not a body, I'm free. I'm still as God created me. Together, I'm not a body, I'm free. I'm still as God created me. One more time. I'm not a body, I'm free. I'm still as God created me. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There's power enough in heaven to heal a heart-sick soul and to open to joyous, abundant living. Let's take that into prayer. We know there is no try, there is only do. Isn't that what Yoda reminded us of? And so we shift our mind, we shift our consciousness back into the consciousness of wholeness, serving only one master, the master of union and oneness, the power that can change water into wine and to heal a heart-sick soul. We see only wholeness. We live from that higher mountainous view, looking out at our world through union. We see others as ourselves and know that we live, move, and have our being together in that union of oneness. And once again, we say thank you, Father, Mother, God, in the nature of the Christ, and so it is. Amen.
Amen.
Let's continue this morning's celebration by standing and singing together, God is My Source. This is a different one than we sing more often, the Lauren Lane Powell. This is Karen Drucker. Let's stand and sing it together.
we invite our ushers forward. We bless our offertory blessings, hold them in your hand like I am. And let's bless them with these words of truth together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have